Good night, everybody. So this will be a short, I would say, update that is concentrated on theory. First of all, an important remark. What we see here with the Neros is something that, for certain, it's beyond the scientific tenets of, and especially the physical tenets that are known to humanity. So we can't. We see amazing stuff, and even if we were all professor of physics, we most probably, or even certainly, we wouldn't have the knowledge that is necessary, the paradigm, the foundations of physics that are necessary in order to understand, to give a rigorous scientific explanation to the phenomena that is observed. But it doesn't mean that we should abandon all every kind of rigorous and scientific examination. And so I try to do the best that I can. And so many times, and this will be such a time, an example right now, in a minute, after the remark, I give explanations that are outlandish, but the phenomenon is outlandish. The phenomena are outlandish. I can only say to my defense that, first of all, it's better to have a theory than not have any theory, because theories, are a way to advance even if they're proven wrong. And also, I would say that the things that I say, even if they sound, amazing and even ridiculous, they almost always they lie, they stand on some kind of evidence and certainly theories that I discussed in the past. Mostly, in his YouTube channel, but part of it is things that I've spoken about. I'm just to the record here to the iPhone. So I do not I try not to explain phenomena, to explain new amazing stuff that we see using theories that I just on the fly prepare out of my sleeve or out of my ass, if to be more rude. I try to base the new theories on things that I've already thought about and discussed, and they didn't come to complete fruition. And that an example of this will be I will do in a minute. And if you follow me neatly and you watch all the videos, certainly you will not hear anything that is entirely new. Just a synthesis or analysis and synthesis of existing theories with new, of course, empirical evidence. Each time that I shave myself or cut my hair, everybody thinks that finally now is the robot resetted. They have this ridiculous idea of reset, and now we'll do whatever we want. So I can't shave my hair, and I can't. Please rescue me from the Nazi hell, from this barbarian. Rescue me and my daughters from this Nazi prison. By the way, I must ask you something. It's not that important, but if you remember, one of the things that happened, we mentioned Hermetic, where in the Shatnez, the company Hermetic, and I mentioned that one of the curious things that happened, it wasn't curious, it was actually cruel, and it cost me my job and money and a lot of pain and fear for myself and my daughters. But this is my life. So, but one of the curious things, and of course cool, was that a senior, supposedly senior female senior manager, she told other employees that she had sexual relationship with me, even though I never even touched her. She had a boyfriend, and then I asked her for a date. Because I found that I thought that she's nice, but she told me she has a boyfriend, and later they were actually got married. In a way that they do it in the intelligence community, very quickly. And obviously she's a time slave. Anyway. But a model title, not like a model that they want to show the Americans that they actually treat them nice, but this is the Nazi prison. So I didn't understand why did she do it? because it cost me a lot of money and pain, and I wasn't employed since they fired me. And of course that, I mean, they fired me. I mean, this was greatly, in any way that you want to interpret events, it stood like, I mean people didn't like this. I mean, people didn't both like seniors and like just regular people did not like the fact that presumably I had sex with a senior manager and married one at that. And of course it was a major like factor in my in me getting fired. Anyway, I didn't understand why did she do it. There are all sorts of theories, but they're not really important because she's a slave. Slaves, I mean, they do all sorts of stuff. But one thing occurred to me today actually is that maybe from the Shabak's point of view, I cannot resist her. Because I remember that one of the mythologies regarding the Titans, never mind that I'm not really a Titans and they are all just idiots, but one of the mythologies is that presumably each Titan, I mean, like, he cannot, I mean, he cannot, he must like submit to not to all females, but to specific females, or I don't know how it works because it's all mythology. And so, and she mind controls him, presumably at the beginning, I mean, when he's young, it's his mother, and then it's another like woman. So presumably, I mean, she cannot like, and of course, I mean, she showed interest. It's not that she didn't. I mean, she want. I mean, I don't know what she wanted. She's a slave, but she acted the part like she wanted me to like have sex with her, very blatantly. And but like Joseph, you know, in Egypt, I stood by my morals, and of course, like Joseph in Egypt, I was sacked and thrown away like garbage. But maybe she thought if I won't tell them that, they will not believe me. So it's better to just say that, yeah, because of course they wanted her to have sex with me, because you know why? Because it started the cycling, and they need the Titan pee or the blood or whatever. So they wanted her to do it. So we can ask, okay, but if you didn't do it, I mean, you didn't start the cycle. So what good does it make that she said that she did it if you didn't, and they will not get the result they want? But this is actually a non-issue in Israel. I understood it long ago that in the intelligence community, it doesn't matter if like if nothing, like, I mean, if it's you only need to report that you like actually like executed like the job, and the job is done, and they don't care if like after that, I mean, even if like no actual consequences are shown in reality, they don't care. This explains why they continue to treat me the same way for decades, even though, I mean, they don't get any good results. So she said, okay, let me just, I mean, they wanted him, she thought, okay, they want me to have sex with him. Maybe also she wanted it. I mean, she can have sexual attraction, and let's remember that Titans don't have many options, and obviously her boyfriend slash husband is a pedophile scumbag, like all of the Israeli intelligence people. So maybe she also wanted it, but it's perhaps she thought, okay, he's like, I mean, he's kind of like a religious idiot or something like that. So I mean, and this type is the worst because there is no way like to change them. So it's better to just say that we did it, and to elaborate on the story, and then of course he will be fired, but who cares? He will find another job. And my issue is not to judge her right now. Again, she's a slave. God will judge her. My issue is, I mean, I want to understand the mythology. Like, this is the presupposition here is that I, like as a male, must do whatever she says. But it's kind of ridiculous because it is known that the Titan females are actually submissive, at least sexually. Like they like in BDSM, many, you know, BDSM is now like a mainstream in our time, but it's not a new thing at all. It was here since the beginning of time. So they are, I mean, in the submissive like spectrum of the BDSM, not the dominant. This is known to anyone that actually knew Titan like female ever. So how it's reconciled with the fact that the male, even though I'm not a Titan male, so the whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, but I just want to understand the mythology of the humans here. Like, how do they think that it can work? Because I remember that in other occasions, I also encountered the myth of the male titan that must obey the female. How should it work, like, supposedly? Let's continue with science. So, as I said, to my defense, everything that I said is based on like existing theories or parts of theories, and so it's not new. At least you can say that. And we need to open our horizons to explain new phenomena. So, first I should say, and this will just like a foreshadowing, I will say that you know that I rearrange the room as much as I can. It's very, it's a very small room, and it's packed with stuff. And now there is this piece of furniture where I placed all the containers. Not all of them actually, because I had a few on the window that I thought it's all dead, but I checked in the microscope and actually there are many living neos over there, and we'll speak about it in a bit. So now I rearrange everything that will be here on this piece of furniture. And if you remember, I spoke about it like a while ago, that this is not only the arrangement of all the like different containers in one piece of furniture, like a closet, or I don't know, shida. How do you say shida? Shida in Hebrew, like furniture. So as you remember, it's not only like for sake of being order, but it's part of both. It's got like symbolic meaning in the Venusian culture. This I know by divination. And also, it's got a practical aspect, and we'll speak about it in a while, even though we've done it in the past. But we need to refresh our memory because this is getting relevant, very relevant. So I need to actually put more care into this whole piece of furniture, and to rearrange everything in the best possible way, both from symbolic reasons and also practical reasons. And if you remember, I told you that in the Venusian culture, they have like two kinds of they have like the home compartment, like they have like something like that, probably made of wood or clay or stones, which is probably doesn't look very different from this. Maybe they don't have electricity, but there are other different compartments and containers. And they also have the mobile one, which actually I also experiment quite a bit with during my long journeys, and but we'll speak about it in another time. So it's very interesting actually. So this is a foreshadowing. So let's now just concentrate on one issue. You've seen that that the Neros, on the three slides that I've shown you today, in 48 hours, they created huge amount of work. They mined like millions of little rocks. How is it even possible? This is not Photoshop. You know that I don't do it, and I can't do it. This is real. And when I show you Neros, it looks like they always just stand. So actually it's not true, because sometimes they even move, but very, very slowly. So you can ask, if they move so slowly and there aren't that much of them, how is it possible that in 48 hours they execute that much work? That you see on the slide that they mined, they did, each stone is like carved. The Israeli man, the Israeli mouse. The Israeli mouse will never, never, never shut up. And the price is taken from the entire world. We cannot take everything from Israel, because they are all ghosts and golems and zombies. But the price of this mouse will be taken from other nations, I promise you. You need to stop the parasite, the trash can. So how is it even possible that they execute that much work if you see that they work that slowly when we actually watch them under the microscope? So I'll give you my answer. The answer will be, extraordinary. But again, it stands on things that we've already discussed in the past and some empirical evidence. And of course, it might be wrong or not, completely accurate. But I try to do it. Even though we deal with, I'm not a scientist and I have no knowledge, in academic knowledge of biology and physics and etc. only BSc in computer science and as you know, strong background in the humanities. But I try to again to do whatever I can to be systematic and scientific, even though I swim in a very in a pool that is completely unknown, or an ocean that is completely unknown to humans. So let's make it quick. I'll do it quickly. What I think happens is something that is similar to a computer with multiple threads. I mean, each computer. I mean, a thread is something that the operation system allocates. But I mean, let's say let's which is more suitable metaphor, like a multi-threading or usage of several cores? No, multi-threading. Let's say so. It's like a computer with one core, like one CPU, but several threads. Like it can do things in parallel, but not really in parallel. You understand? I mean, the same way that computers can, I mean, if they have only one CPU, they can do, like, by definition, even that is not true because there are parallelism inside the CPU, but let's not get into it too much. The idea is that in your computer, the operating system, and even like primitive operating system, like DOS, if you remember, this from the 80s, you can run several like programs, I mean, in the background. For example, antivirus is something that always run in the background, or the mouse driver always runs in the background, and other stuff. And viruses, the 80s was the golden age of viruses, ping pong, etc., always runs in the background. So how is it possible? And computers only had one CPU. So the answer is that, I mean, each application or each program is allocated a thread. Today it's much more complicated than that, but let's look at, I mean, let's discuss it from the 80s point of view, which is more simple and more like the correct metaphor. So each one is allocated a thread, which is execution time by the CPU. And at every single moment, only one thread is actually running. So when the antivirus is running, nothing else actually runs. But you don't, I mean, as a user, you don't notice it mostly because the threads are always, I mean, they change in matter of milliseconds. Not always. Sometimes the thread is stuck, but they should change like in matter of milliseconds, even using computers from the 80s, and certainly today. So I mean, the mouse is getting like a execution time, and after milliseconds that antivirus, and after milliseconds the virus, and after milliseconds the actual like the word processor, the Einstein word processor. You remember Einstein? It was popular in the 80s in Israel, or QText or something like that you actually, and the user is only aware of the prime like program that is running, like the QText, like the word processor. So I suspect that the same actually happens with the Neros, with exception that I think that they able to do multi-threading. They like to have different cores, but I mean for the different modes, because there is like a mode like the brown mode, which is more creation, or the transparent mode, which is ex nihilo, and the red mode which is related to humans, like to Homo sapiens, and the silver mode, which is related to cherubs. There aren't that many, and there is the black mode, which is related to space. There aren't that many modes. So maybe I mean they have like different. I mean they can run in parallel with different modes. But I mean if I want to use the same mode, it doesn't matter how many containers I use. I mean, as you know, you cannot actually like execute the commands. The container. I mean, maybe you can create the containers, but it's only me that actually. I mean, they listen to me because they are not because I mean I am their master, but because they are consensual. I mean, they are a hive mind. They speak with each other all the time. They are consensual creatures like the Borg. Okay. So, I mean, they always. I mean, in communication with the largest containers of Nero, which is by far my body. So they communicate with my body. So de facto they need me to do. I mean to execute stuff. So even if I use different containers or compartments or constructions, they can. I mean at each given moment only one is actually active. But it's possible that so you can ask. So why would normally, so there's a question of like, why should the thread stop? This is actually a difficult question, even from theoretical point of view. But I mean, normally what happens is that that the operation system itself is managing the threads, and it forces the thread to stop. This is since way before the 80s, actually, since the era of mainframes, like in the 60s or even 50s, like the IBM mainframes. It's the classical. I mean, one of the classical like things that the operation system actually needs to do. So there is the operation system that controls the threads here, and sometimes you don't need to continue with a given job. So the thread relinquish its authority by its own means. For example, you remember that we had the candle here, the high one that supposedly should with the candle that is shut, that is not burning, and I told you that this symbolizes the wormhole. So, and it was covered with the red the red scarf. And of course, the meaning that I'd want the wormhole to be to not allow humans to access it. So okay, so the Neros execute the command. So maybe they just they close the wormhole. So now they don't need the threads. So they say okay, so they tell the operation system, which is probably the hive mind, which is mostly placed inside my own body. They tell the hive mind, okay, we don't need the thread to be on the running thread. You can give it to another one. And presumably, sometimes it's the turn of the slide, which were placed here in this compartment, in this furniture. So it's part of the deal, part of it's the running space. The application space. And when they actually get the thread, they can presumably work very, very quickly. But we don't catch it because we only see it under the microscope, when they are not part of the compartment, the arrangement. Now the arrangement is very important for more reasons. First of all, it's always not all threads are given the same priority. The highest, the physically highest, is always the most important. So when I had it's now I remove it because I don't need it anymore, but the candle was by far the highest. So, and it was all the container because the remnants had living Neos. So this that got the most the highest priority. And when it relinquishes priority, they always look up. So the highest is always the top priority. And there are also two ways to control the backgrounds in order to differentiate between priorities. Now another very important thing is with energy. This is something that, now what I want to say now, it's not the first time that I said it. I actually spoke about it in the past and even conducted many practical experiments. And I understand this is a tough nut, to swallow. But we in order to make sense of the things that we see, we need to speak about, very important. It's still theoretical, and maybe I'm not, it should be proven in a more rigorous way, but it's when we discuss Neros and energy, we must, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room. And the elephant is this. When you create the construction of all sorts of containers and machines, there is always the suppliers, the containers that supply energy, either by burning or by or using electricity, or using mechanical sources, or using food, or using magnetism, or using electrolysis. And there are the containers that supposed to waste energy, and they can be the same. And the same container can be both. And so, and the physically lower are subservient to the higher ones. So, for example, if I presumably, again, this should be proven, but we've seen it many times, then there are many circumstantial evidence for that, and this explains a lot, actually. So, for example, if I build a construction here where, we have the electromagnet here, that actually I still need to see under the microscope. I didn't check it, but let's speak about it in a bit. And we have other magnets and stuff here. In the bottom layer, supposedly, a higher container, physically higher container, can harness their energy. This works very well with candles, actually. This is why many times I put candles in below the container with the electrolysis that is the main container from my perspective. Now you can ask, okay, but remember you can ask the most amazing thing was the cup of black wool or brown wool that you created. And remember that this was actually happened when you put the candles on the top. So how can you explain that? So I would say that when I worked on it, I sat near the table and also worked on another container that was actually lower. And also, I had, and I burned candles below that. And these were the actual candles that used, that with the enriched beeswax, and the needles themselves actually burned as well. And this was used for the electrolysis chamber. The three candles that I used on top of the electrolysis chamber, which was the highest one, the one with the great goo, the black goo was created in, were actually important not because of the burning, but just because it was a symbol of the Nero, because I used Neros, like the Nero candles, three from above. That's my theory. So when we have that in mind, I will try to now perhaps use more material which should be more suitable for the things that are of most interest to me, which are first creation of Neros, and second, of course, diamond rings. I promised my daughters that I will give them diamond rings that the robots created. But also I will think about how to harness energy in a way that will build on this paradigm, and I will use the electrolysis chamber on top with a liquid that is actually kind of like thin, not a thick one. So, but I don't. Let's not get into it because this video is already long, and I want to address another issue. There are many practical issues, but I don't want to speak about everything. As you said, so what I want to address is another issue: is the issue of survivability. It's something that I mentioned that you can see that in the slide. At least on one of the slides, they survived like after 48 hours. So there is a question of what makes them survive the Neros. So there is an answer for that. At least partial answer. So I need to explain it. When you put the Neros inside an oil, some kind of an oil or oilish material, and I've done it many times in the past, they actually survive very well even when they are just left on like that, on the window, with direct sun, like for days on them, and this is something that I've seen in the past, but it should be a dark oil. So what happens is actually, they just hide below, inside the oil, and they're protected from, it's pretty airtight, and they don't get so they're not exposed to like bacteria. So they are protected. So that's, even you can, maybe they can stay like that for millions of years. I don't know, like what's their expiration date, but certainly for months, so certainly for weeks. And this is something that I've just seen under the microscope now. I don't want to create, to do too much videos with microscopic work, even though I know it's interesting, but it takes a lot of time, and I want to advance like my things, like on my goals and my specific projects. But I've just seen under microscope, they are perfectly good Neros, containers that were left for weeks, but they are all very oily. And there is another like type of material which is most based on much thinner material, like purified water, hydrogen peroxide, which mostly is water, and alcohol 70%, and things like that. And these ones are actually they evaporate much quicker, and they also they are not that safe for the Neros for long range, like for long term, and this they work best when they keep in the freezer. Of course, although it's much easier to perform electrolysis with such material, but as I said before, this could also be a problem because it's even if you add like my pee, which is contains also like other like material, and even if you add oil, like paint oil, to the mixture, it's still super conductive. Like not superconductive in like maybe also superconductive. As I said, maybe they are superconductors, but I mean it's very conductive and I mean you see steam. I mean it's getting that hot that you actually see steam. Like I mean the medium evaporates before your eyes, and actually the rods, the metal rods of electricity, they burn like like threads. So I mean, that's the problem with electrolysis. That's why it's not the best way. I mean, and we try to use electromagnetism. You know that I try to do it, and I will continue to try. I will use the alternative AC, and I will use like coils that I disassemble from all sort of like I mean speakers from the trash. And I will also, of course, use the permanent magnets. I need to understand, like study. I studied a little bit, but I need like to get more, to understand a little more in order to conduct experiments with how you construct like a mechanism with both a permanent and magnet and electromagnet that will create the best kind of like current, because we want to create current actually. Supposedly the Neros will, of course, the Neros will use the current in the medium to create to harness their energy for their needs. This is an example of an electromagnet with two in two direction. It's quite interesting. Just let me show you something. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, so this is just a piece of thread, like a thin rope with we see the metal thingy. So you see that here it's actually it's affected by a permanent magnet. So let's just it should be like attracted in one point. And what's the opposite thing of attracted? Like repelled here. Yes. So you actually see it that we have seen it better like before. I don't know why it's like so it repels here and it attracts here. Supposedly, I think the permanent magnet is too. And also we have the thread that people ask me, why it's not connected to create a circuit. But I didn't want to create actually. I just wanted to create electromagnet here. I didn't want actually to create like a circuit. But it's still magnetic for certain. It repels it. I don't know if you watch, but if you can see, but it repels it. So this thread is actually electromagnet. This wire, and it doesn't need to be like to close the circuit. The same way that you do it with screwdriver. Okay, we still have a lot of things, containers that we didn't check under the microscope, and I need to prepare more slides, and actually I'm ran out of material, but I'll try to scrape the bottom of the barrel here to search for plastics. And we didn't I still didn't create, the Petri dish with all the synthetic microbe robots and worms, and I don't know if I will. It's important, and also from the point of view of the political project of replacement of humans with Homo sapiens with more with better alternatives, better species. But maybe I will postpone it for tomorrow, so because I really want to advance with my electromagnetism and to see if we can actually like use it in a very like in constructive way, the same way that we use electrolysis. I will say that there are many containers that should still be checked. There are the ones in the freezer, like in the old school freezer, like with the ice box, that are very interesting to see. Maybe I will actually do a quick video with that because it's very interesting. And there are actually others. As I said, there is the enrichment of beeswax and canola oil, which is something that I've done a lot in the past. And actually, I've performed very elaborate experiments, not only on the beach and in parking garages. When I burned enriched oil to great efficacy, and it was actually very impressive. So if everyone didn't see it, maybe I'll do a demonstration tomorrow. I'll do it outside here because it will be it burns like crazy. It's like a rocket fuel. Which is made out of beeswax. It's amazing. But what I haven't done is to check it under the microscope because it was all very practical, things that surround burning and stuff, not microscopic work. So maybe I will take a look under the microscope. And I've also prepared new with this semen that was produced today by myself. I created the new kind of like a mixture, which should be very interesting, which is based on remnant of pastel paint. It's pigments. It's like dust with a lot of relatively high concentration of alcohol and of course the semen. So we'll see how it goes. I want to study more materials. Because it was established that for certain, beeswax is amazing material for the creation of the neurons themselves. Not only because of the as an aftermath of the black goo creation, but also in the past I also created neurons in other circumstances, not in that extent, but I also used beeswax. So it's not a new thing. By the way, I didn't have the microscope yet when I created the glass with the black goo, so it's not even affected. Actually, I created neurons. So I want to reprise that container and experiment just to be able to see that these are actually neurons, because my theory that these are neurons, but not the same as mine, but lower quality and lower status neurons, if you remember. But I want to actually be able to prove it, and so. So sorry, beeswax is important, but certainly organic material can, the flies, are important when they want to clone. When they want to create the yellow pool. Maybe it's not something to do with cloning. This still needs to be proven. I think that today we've seen some evidence that support it, but we need to see more. But for certain, there is a strong relation between the existence of organic matter, like a big bug, a carcass of an animal, and the existence of yellow pools. And that was, it was evident in the last couple of days, but also, in much more in other experiments that I conducted in the past. So maybe, in order to clone themselves, they need to eat living flesh, and maybe in order to, I don't know, to create other neurons or other robots, they need beeswax. But maybe, for example, in order to create gold, and I want them to create gold for the golden rings, they need clay, dirt, because which is known since medieval times, and probably even way before that, alchemy is done by converting clay to gold. Am I right, or do I miss something? And for the diamonds, actually, it's interesting because diamonds are made of carbon. So supposedly almost anything that is made out of carbon, which is almost everything, could be used to create diamonds, but maybe they need specific types of carbon. So we need to think about it, just to make it easier on them. And okay, so I think it will be all for now. And please rescue me from this Nazi prison. This is hell. Me and my daughters, of course.